Hello there. It's looking increasingly likely that we are already at war with Russia, with full military engagement maybe just days away. And one teeny little item missing from most news outlets is that the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, has just taken over the 6-month rotating presidency of the EU with the slogan "Make Europe Great Again," or MEGA. And his first visit was to Ukraine to meet with President Zelensky. The most pro-Russian EU leader visits Ukraine at this moment in time. Was it really just Orban fulfilling one of his duties as the new 6-month president of the European Union? Or is there something more to this? Was his visit a supporting visit, or what? Orban has also launched what is being called a new right-wing political alliance called Patriots for Europe. Now, this is important to note. It doesn't matter whether you loathe or love either Putin or NATO or Orban. It doesn't matter right now who we think is at fault, because we don't for 100% sure know who's to blame. And I personally do not trust any of them. What does matter, though, is that the way is seemingly being cleared for NATO to put assets on the ground in Ukraine. A US Department of Defense press release says, US commanders in Europe have placed bases in a higher state of alert, Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh said yesterday. All due apparently to a combination of factors, like the European football games and the Olympics, we're told. Do we normally do that? Or could the threats from the new Belarus Defence Forces Chief of Staff, Pavel Maraveyko, to use tactical nuclear weapons have anything to do with it? We've learned how to handle these weapons, said Maraveyko. We know how to apply them confidently. We are able to do it. And you can be sure we will do it if the sovereignty and independence of our country is threatened. Now, Andrew Bridgen has recently said that we in the UK are already in a de facto war with Russia. And I would add that if that is the case, then we could be at war with Belarus as well, given the Russian-Belarus defence agreements. And Bridgen put out on X today, I'm told by intelligence sources that President Biden has now authorised US military contractors to deploy to Ukraine. Meanwhile, US bases in Europe have been placed on the highest level of alert. I believe we are days or weeks away from full NATO engagement in Eastern Europe. This is no time for novices in Parliament. And many believe that the reason Rishi had called this snap general election an election that he knows he will lose is because of this impending conflagration. The claim is that he knows it's coming. And the claim is also that he's told our military leaders that he does not want to be a wartime leader. Good job someone thought ahead enough to put all those emergency alert features into our mobile devices, isn't it? And just watch out for any new public information on potassium iodide tablets. And a war would also allow Joe Biden to cancel the upcoming presidential election, wouldn't it? An election he's on course to lose. But all that is just conspiracy theory, isn't it? It could never happen in the democratic West, could it? But what do you think about all of this? Let's have a look at some of the comments, if I can see them. Here we go. All a bit too convenient. Well, I would put it down as that way as well. It all seems to be coming together somehow, doesn't it? And none of this helps us as humans, does it? How does this help the planet or humanity, war, destruction? I'm not sure I like what's coming down the tracks at the moment, and I always did get that feeling when I was looking at Rishi Sunak calling this general election and everybody saying why. I thought he knows something we don't. It's either some economic black cloud coming down on top of us, or else it's something worse. So I'm of the coming to the opinion that it might well be something worse, and I don't like that. Now, this is a common theme. The West did provoke Russia. Well, I don't know either way. I'm not going to say who provoked who or who's at fault at this. We're now at the stage where we are possibly on the brink, and it's got to stop. Somehow it's got to stop. Someone's got to start talking to someone. Otherwise, it could just all get out of control. Yeah, there you go. Better stock up on toilet rolls. Well, yeah, to stuff the windows so that none of the fallout comes through in the breeze, I suppose. But yeah, stocking up. You should always have something in the cupboard ready just in case. But doesn't all this make you feel angry that we're getting to this position now? What on earth is going on? Millions could die. What on earth is this about? Anyway, yeah, we'll say millions. It's probably nearer billions. Now, I hope this is a joke. I blame Brexit. Yes, Brexit is a very small beer. When we're talking about, 0.25% of GDP or a couple of a percent here and there on interest rates now and again, or maybe we can do a bit better with Brexit or without Brexit, all that pales into insignificance when we're talking about nuclear conflagration. When those buckets of sunshine go flying about, all bets are off. Here's an opinion. Orban just started to talk to Zelensky about peace, but at what cost and to who? I mean, is the cost of peace that we basically hand Ukraine over, or Ukraine hands itself over to Russia, or most of it? Is that something that the Ukrainians should bear for the sake of the planet? That's a good question. Now, here's a comment that I saw this ages and ages ago, and I've got to go back. According to Deagle, the UK population will be 14 million by the end of 2020, whenever it was, 2025, I think. This was a website that was up and about, and someone pointed to it, and it showed how population numbers would suddenly drop in the next couple of years for some or other reason, and no one could make out why this particular website would say that. And it seemed to be quite an established website. Anyway, it suddenly changed after everybody drew the numbers to people's attentions, and all that seems to have disappeared. I haven't checked that website back for about, a year, 6 months, so I couldn't say what it says today. You can't beat a good coating of radioactive fallout. Well, yes. Yeah, that's going to do well for everybody, isn't it? That's the slow, nasty way. That's what potassium iodide is all about. The government keeps a stock to hand out to people in case of fallout so that you can take these potassium iodide tablets. And what it does is it replaces some of the small parts of your body where you take these at your thyroid, where you take potassium iodide in naturally. Now, if there's potassium iodide out in the atmosphere, which is contaminated with radiation, you take it into your thyroid automatically. It sucks it in. So what you do is you take potassium iodide to overload your thyroid with clean potassium iodide, which could help you, could prevent you from dying. But I'm not so sure about the science myself. I don't know. That's just what I've been reading up on. Now, what is going on? The globalists, that's what? Well, that's the only sort of The only conclusion I can come to, there's something or someone out there who really has got a downer on the rest of us in a big way. Yeah, so it seems to me it's just pure, unadulterated evil. A satanic evil. What else could it possibly be? They've got a real downer on humanity, haven't they? Just to remind you, for those that don't know, I was a nuclear submariner for a while, so the potassium iodide thing was something we carried around just in case in submarines. And they have them in nuclear reactor stations and places like that. So the whole idea is if there is an accident or something else, then potassium iodide should be available to most people. But it is available quite freely from chemists as well. Not that I'm telling you to stock up, of course, just in case. Yeah, here we go. Feel like they just want to clear out all the inconvenient humans. Yes, the trouble is that a nuclear war of that size would be huge. It would destroy most of the planet, and there is some thought that it could actually get rid of the atmosphere as well, burn up all the oxygen. Depends on how many nuclear bombs people have and how big they are, and the fallout would be absolutely catastrophic. It would just blanket the earth and just keep circulating with the wind. I'm not sure what would survive it. And there has been talk of some of the elites, of course, building these little Noah's Ark type things far away from humanity where they can bury themselves into a mountainside. The trouble is, to exist that way, they would need other people around them to help them, and they would need a constant supply of uncontaminated water and uncontaminated air, and that's very hard to store for more than a couple of weeks, I suppose. Or you have huge amounts, I'm talking warehouses full of specialist filters, and that would be quite a task to undertake. I've seen that try to be done before, and it does take a lot of investment, a lot of space, and a lot of money to do that. So I'm not even sure that these billionaires who are making these things could survive that, to be honest. What's this one? Andrew's interview was terrifying. Yes, it was. If you haven't caught it, please go and look at Andrew Bridgen's interview he did recently. It's well worth a watch. And it will open your eyes to the way that the establishment sort of works or doesn't work in our favour. So I would say support Andrew. Support Andrew Bridgen where you can, because he's one of the very few that's just telling it like he sees it. And the real problem I have is when the other MPs clear the chamber and will not debate with him. Think about that. Now, if Andrew Bridgen was wrong in all his assertions, those MPs would be queuing up to make political points. They would be trying to score the headlines. Look what we've done to this person who says that the responses to the health emergency were all wrong, etc., etc. But they can't. They never do. In fact, they try to tell each other to leave the chamber, leave him on his own, isolate him. And that is totally bad, totally evil. It shouldn't happen. Totally undemocratic. So if you live in northwest Leicestershire, you know what to do. Vote for Andrew Bridgen. Just do it. Oh, from Slim. I am an inconvenient human. Yes, continue to be as inconvenient as you can to the establishment. That's my views. And this one, End Days. Yeah, if you go and look and read a certain book, you will find a lot of this laid out quite clearly, I can tell you. It's laid out in the Bible, and it's all there clearly in the open. And you only have, if you actually read it, you go, well, isn't that happening now? Isn't that happening now? And you see it, and you can't unsee it, I'm afraid. So, yeah, there's all sorts of predictions. So, Isaiah, Book of Revelations, what's the other one? And there's Daniel, of course. Yeah, so it's all in there. Just go and have a look. I'm not saying you have to believe it, but go and have a look. Anyway, move to Australia. Well, yeah, they'll still be hit by fallout if anything happens, I'm afraid to say. And they'll probably be on someone's target list. That's the other side. Just because you've got nuclear weapons doesn't make you the only target. If you've got capability of any other sort, you'll be a target. Yes. Yes, this, as Steve says, no sanctuary. You can't escape nuclear fallout. No, you can't. It gets in there in the end. It will get through. And it's not very nice. From Steve again, this is Andrew is a real warrior. I love this man. I think Andrew's great. I've met him, and what you see is what you get. Oh, by the way, have you seen he's put out a campaign song put together by artificial intelligence, and the lyrics are really good. You know, it's quite catchy, and you're thinking, cool, yeah. And talking about AI, how many times have I seen comments when I do my straightforward, talking head videos in front of the red curtain? People say, he doesn't move, is he AI? And I'm thinking to myself, what do they expect me to do? Jump around like a performing flea on steroids or something? It's just I just stand there and talk. And I'm not sure what people want out of me when I do that, but I'll just continue doing what I do. So let's have a look. Is there any more? Oh, there's so many comments. Oh, someone says, glad I've been stocking up on bulk rice. Yeah, bulk rice, it's okay. It's a vegetable. I much prefer the carnivore approach. I eat quite a lot of meat, eggs, milk and cheese. That's my favourite stuff. And then after that comes, in the drinks department, it's milk, then water, then coffee, and then beer and wine. But there you go. Anyway, so I've been talking long enough, and it's great to have a chat with you. And it's fantastic that you're getting so many comments coming through that I just can't keep up with it. So just had a voice in my ear saying, "Oh yes, you can." Yeah, so, well, let's see if I can pick up a couple of more. So, here's one. Book of Acts and Matthew as well. Yeah, there's another one. We don't want humans. We need to be men and women and claim the right jurisdiction. Come out of her, my people. I'm not quite sure what... We don't want to be... Sorry, I'm not quite sure I pick up on that one. But, it's a verse from the Bible. Right, okay. Oh, here's a good question. I like this one. Oh, come on. What's happened? My machine here is just cutting out a lot of the comments because there's not enough space. Now, here's a good one. I like this one. The end is nay. Is that a horse's end? No, I know you mean the end is nigh, but I just couldn't resist that. The end is nay. Got to admit, I do think the main reason Sunak called the election is because we already have troops in Ukraine. He does not want to be a wartime PM. Well, we may well have people in Ukraine. I'm not sure there would be serving troops. They could possibly be contractors, former members of the armed forces who are experts in certain types of equipment. But as soon as we start putting uniformed personnel there, armed, then it becomes a completely different kettle of fish. Jeff learned the difference between fission bombs and hydrogen bombs. We use hydrogen bombs now. There is no radiation. I would beg to differ. A hydrogen bomb just uses hydrogen to increase the power of the explosion and the speed at which it happens. Fission, it is a fission bomb still. It's still fission, nuclear fission. Anyway, panic in your voice. I'm not sure about panic. Is a bit angry. I'm just getting a bit angry that people could put us in this situation. I mean, as Clausewitz said, war happens. It's just an extension of politics. But when you're talking about nuclear weapons, it's not an extension. It just means politics has failed. Not politics, the politicians, the people involved have failed. They could not come up with an answer. So the next move is war. And when war happens, when you've got nuclear weapons, the last resort comes nearer and nearer and nearer as one side starts losing. And that's the truth. In the end, someone throws that first one. It could be a small tactical nuke, then a slightly bigger one. And if the message doesn't get through, it just accelerates out of control. There are other ideas as well out there that they could use a dirty bomb to start with. That's where the explosion happens and it just spreads lots of nasty bits of metal about. It's sort of its own fallout without a massive explosion. So it just spreads. Say one went over London, it would just drop a load of radioactive stuff on London without causing too much damage physically, but by causing a lot of damage to health. So there is that could come along. And also there's also chemical and biological, remember. Don't forget those types of weapons are out there. We can't disinvent them, we can't de-invent them, we can't get rid of them. They've tried time and time again, but don't tell me that certain regimes don't have stockpiles of all sorts of nasty things in their cupboards. Yeah, because nuclear could well be a distraction. It could be a distraction from something else. Could be looking in one direction and something else happens. We have ports, we have airports, things can be brought in, people can come in. Just think of the Salisbury poisoning incident. Anything like that could happen. So, and would that be a declaration of war and all this sort of stuff? And any of it is all pure evil. All of it. We do not need war. Right, I just seen we've had another super thanks. Thanks very much. I'm trying to catch up with it and find out where it is. They disappear from my system if they're on here for more than a couple of minutes for some reason. Right, okay. Anyway, I can't find it. I missed it. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I know it's there, but I can't find it. So there you go. Thanks. Now, this is another comment that a lot of people bring up. Billions could die. Isn't that the plan? Well, what gets me is that this is based on the population of the planet we need to depopulate. But the statistics aren't saying that. Believe it or not, the population growth of the planet is slowing down. Every year it falls in percentage. So it was 2.5% increase in a year, maybe 10 years ago. That's dropped to 1.5%, 1%. It's dropping. And the World Health Organization, the UN, if you believe them, have actually said that by the middle of this century, the population of the planet will top out at about 11 billion people, something like that. And then it will start falling. So the population of the planet, according to the top level, is going to start falling. So why would we need to depopulate unless we need to do it faster for some reason? And when we start depopulating, it's not at the top end. It's not the old people that die. It's because we're not having babies. The sperm count, or sperm motility, that's the mobility of a sperm to make its journey, is dropping. So that means it could have a catastrophic effect on birth rate. We could start seeing birth rates starting to fall really quite a lot. In South Korea, I think it's 1.2 babies per female. In this country, it's 1.6. And in fact, sperm motility has dropped since the last couple of years. Now I wonder what could have caused that. It must just have been us just sitting at home and not doing much, mustn't it? Or it could have been something else. But this is having an effect on birth rates. And if you don't have young people, you don't have taxpayers of the future. You don't have nurses and doctors of the future. So things could get very, very hairy within easily within 100 years. And now that's well outside of how long I'm going to last and most of us are going to last. But if we really have a view to the future and the future of the human race, we should take a big interest in this. Because it sounds to me like someone else out there is taking a big interest in it and helping the motility to go down, the sperm count to go down, the total fertility rate to go down, to drive down our population. And once it falls below a certain level, it's very hard to reverse. I've read that up. You can go and read about demographics and look at it in depth. And there's lots of YouTube videos out there about it as well. Oh, thank you, John, for your super thanks. That's really nice of you. Thank you very much. It's just been found. Anyway, I need some lunch. And it's extremely nice to talk to you all. And really, thank you very much for your input and your comments, which still keep flooding in. So what I'd like to say is thank you so much for watching. And I'll catch you maybe later tonight. Who knows?